receptive audience
Want us to wait?
which wait intelligently and listen thoughtfully.
You guys have snacks?
What?
You have snacks?
Yeah, I can't eat the snacks.
Well, that was your own fault.
And a presenter. Doesn't really pick up the computer screen.
But does it show that it's there?
It shows that it's there, yeah.
Okay, then I'll just attach the PowerPoint.
When you put these things up on YouTube, can you then turn around and take them down later on? Are they up there for?
No, I can put it down. But the way that it's set up, they can only access it if they have the link. So like I send the link to my computer, so she's the only one who can access it.
Is that recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so biofuel crops not only displace food crops, but are in some cases providing energy sources that are potentially more damaging to the environment than fossil fuels. Sir Malcolm, a British Conservative Party politician and a member of Parliament. Who here has stopped to fill up their car and use fuel made from ethanol? It is probable that you did not even consider the implications of using biofuels, which include worsening the current food shortage problem. The practice of using biofuels has exacerbated the food shortage problem that exists today. The next time you drive by a cornfield, stop and look. A third of that field will be used to go towards filling your car tank and not towards feeding a hungry person. If the practice of using food crops as biofuels was discontinued, the food shortage today would begin to shrink. Biofuel is taking food that could be used to feed the hungry in the population, and it is exacerbating the food shortage problem that exists in the world today. Food wastage occurs in developed and developing countries, but for vastly different reasons. In developed countries like the West, the culture is consumed with mass consumption. So supermarkets store food on their shelves that they can never sell. So they then throw away perishable food that goes bad before they can sell it. And that creates food wastage. In developing countries that are mainly agricultural, they cannot ship the food they produce to their end users before the food goes bad because they do not have proper storage and preservation techniques for their food. And this also creates food wastage. In developed countries where supermarkets are stacked full of food, and there's food as far as the eye can see, the concept of a food shortage seems impossible. But in developing countries where food cannot get to the end consumer before it goes bad, the concept of a food shortage is very real and very frightening. Biofuel crops are grown as an alternative food source to gasoline and other traditional kinds of fuel. Biofuels take away from crops that could be grown for food, which would help to reduce food shortages. Biofuels have a large negative impact on the global food security and causes higher food prices and more volatile food prices. The European Union has created a renewable transportation fuel obligation, which has the goal to have 10% of transportation energy to originate from renewable sources by the year 2020. This goal, if reached, will cause extreme increases in food prices because crops will be diverted from food to fuel. The United Kingdom's government has been asked to revise the renewable transportation fuel obligation to exclude agriculturally produced biofuels. So, how can we fix the food shortage problem? Along with scientific advances involving crops, such as more crop plants per acre, drought-tolerant crops, and no-till farming, the use of crops as a biofuel needs to stop. The main reason behind the food shortage today is not a huge increase in the world's population, but is exacerbated by the use of crops as a biofuel. In 2007, in the United States, corn was sold at $2 a bushel before the Bush administration increased the ethanol mandate. In 2011, after the ethanol mandate was increased, corn was sold at $8 a bushel. At the same time, food riots broke out in developing countries because of food shortages. The gain from ethanol is not worth the loss of food production. Approximately 1/3 of the American corn crop goes to produce ethanol, not to feed the American population. After factoring the costs associated with growing the corn crop and refining it to produce ethanol, corn produces a mere 160 gallons per acre. To translate, an acre of corn can run 7 family cars for 1 week. Or that same acre of corn could feed an entire family for 1 year. Congress capped ethanol production at 15 billion gallons per year, but farmers have really enjoyed the increased crop prices, which increase their profits. So they have looked towards taking crop food, such as beets, and using that to create biofuel, which means that more crops will be used to produce biofuel, which will worsen the food shortage problem. Discontinuing the use of food crops as biofuel will increase the amount of food available to the world population, but a second part of the solution is also needed. A sustainable food source needs to be implemented that is capable of feeding the growing world population. And in 2005 World Summit at the United Nations General Assembly described 3 pillars of sustainability: social, environmental, and economic. The sustainability of food cannot simply be measured by economic sustainability or environmental sustainability. It has to be measured in social, environmental, and economic means to create a complete picture. So sustainable agriculture would produce sustainable food, which would feed the world's population. By 2050, the world population is estimated to be approximately 9 billion people. That is an additional 3 billion people compared to today's world population. There is no denying that a food shortage exists today, and that same shortage will only worsen in the next 40 years when there is an additional 3 billion mouths to feed. The solution to this problem is not a simple fix, and it will take more than one plan of action to correct. In order to feed the growing population of tomorrow, we need to take action today, and this will start with discontinuing the use of food crops as biofuel.